If you woke up today and checked your bank account, would you feel rich or poor? Now ask yourself this question. If the dollar crashed tomorrow, would your answer change? Because right now, on December 11th, 2025, there are 5 types of people in America. 5 levels of wealth that have nothing to do with your salary, your 401k retirement account, or the numbers in your brokerage statement. These levels are measured in ounces, and the gap between the first and fifth levels is no longer just about money. It's about survival, power, and who will be able to rebuild the system when it finally collapses. 3 days ago, the price of silver exceeded $60. Yesterday, December 10th, it held steady at over $60. Today, December 11th, it is trading at $62 and continues to rise. But here's what no one is telling you. The price no longer matters. What matters is how many ounces you hold before the window closes. Because the average American, the one on the first level, doesn't even know this window exists. And the fifth level, the kings of this game, have already sealed it from the inside. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly where you are. I'm going to walk you through the 5 levels of silver wealth in America right now. And I will prove to you that the distance between these levels is not gradual, it is exponential. This is not about shaming anyone. This is about showing you the map while there is still time to act. Let's start at the very bottom, because that's where 92% of Americans live. Level 1. 0 ounces. Level 1. The average American. 0 ounces. Net worth in silver, $0. The average American owns no physical silver. None. Not a single coin, not a single bar, not even a piece of jewelry with real silver content. They own paper. They own digits on a screen. They own promises from banks that are leveraged 100 to 1. According to the Federal Reserve's 2024 Survey of Consumer Finances, the median American household has about $11,000 in a checking account and maybe $37,000 in retirement accounts. Sounds decent, right? Wrong. Because that $11,000 is losing 3.2% of its purchasing power every year to official inflation. The real number, if you include food, energy, and housing, is closer to 8%. Your cash is melting. But here's the psychological trap. The average American still believes the system works. They believe the FDIC will protect them. They believe their mutual funds will recover. They believe that if things get bad, the government will step in. They are living in 2019. They don't know that on December 11th, 2025, the LBMA vault inventories dropped to a 15-year low. They don't know that the physical silver available for immediate delivery in the United States is now being measured in days, not months. They don't know because nobody told them. CNBC isn't covering it. Bloomberg mentioned it for 30 seconds last week and moved on. Level 1 Americans are holding cash in a system where cash is a depreciating liability. They are playing a game where the rules changed 5 years ago, but nobody sent them the memo. They will wake up one day, probably in 2026, and realize they were holding monopoly money while everyone else was holding metal. By then, it will be too late. Level 1 isn't just broke in silver terms. They are intellectually unprepared for what's coming. They still think net worth is measured in dollars. They haven't learned the new language yet. And in the new language, the word for Level 1 is peasant. Level 2, the awakening, 1 to 50 ounces. Net worth in silver, $61 to $3,000. This is the person who just woke up. Maybe they saw a YouTube video last month. Maybe a friend sent them an article about the dollar losing reserve status. Maybe they just have a gut feeling that something is very wrong. So they bought a few ounces, maybe 10, maybe 25. They went to their local coin shop or ordered online, and they felt that weight in their hand for the first time. That psychological shift, that moment when you realize metal is real and everything else is abstract. That's the awakening. Level 2 Americans now own between $61 and $3,000 worth of silver at current prices. It's not enough to change their life, but it's enough to change their mindset. They've taken the first step. They've moved from total ignorance to partial awareness. But here's the problem. They stopped. They bought a little bit, felt good about it, and went back to their normal life. They still have 95% of their wealth in the system. They're still holding cash. They're still holding stocks. They think their 10 ounces of silver is insurance. It's not. It's a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Level 2 is dangerous because it creates a false sense of security. These people think they're prepared. They're not. When the real squeeze happens, when silver goes to 80, to 100, to 150, they will wish they bought more. They will watch from the sidelines as level 3, 4, and 5 Americans multiply their wealth, while they're stuck with a handful of coins that might buy them a few months of groceries. Level 2 is the participation trophy. You showed up, but you didn't play the game. And in a wealth transfer event, showing up doesn't count. Execution counts. Level 3, the stacker, 50 to 500 ounces. Net worth in silver, $3,000 to $30,000. Now we're getting serious. Level 3 Americans have between $3,000 and $30,000 in physical silver. That's 50 to 500 ounces. These are the people who didn't just wake up. They committed. They made silver a line item in their budget. Every month they're buying 10 ounces here, 20 ounces there. They've been doing this since 2022, maybe 2023. They ignored the noise when silver dipped to $22. They kept stacking. They understood something that Level 1 and Level 2 don't. They understood that wealth isn't built in a day. It's built in ounces, over time, with discipline. Level 3 Americans are the backbone of the physical silver movement. They're not rich. They're middle class. They're teachers, plumbers, nurses, small business owners. They make $50,000 to $90,000 a year. And instead of buying a new car or taking a vacation to Europe, they bought metal. They sacrificed present consumption for future security. And right now, on December 10th, 2025, they're sitting on a stack that's worth double what they paid for it. Maybe triple if they started early. But here's what makes Level 3 powerful. They're not selling. When silver hit $61 yesterday, they didn't panic and take profits. They didn't rush to the coin shop to cash out. They understand this is just the beginning. They've read the deficit reports. They know about the 1.1 billion ounce hole. They know the Indian whales bought the bottom. They know the solar vortex is just getting started. So they hold. And some of them are still buying. Level 3 Americans will be the new middle class when this is over. They won't be rich, but they won't be broke. They'll have optionality. They'll have breathing room. They'll have what 92% of Americans don't have, a seat at the table when the reset happens. Level 4, the whale, 500 to 5,000 ounces. Net worth in silver, $30,000 to $300,000. This is where the game changes. Level 4 Americans own 500 to 5,000 ounces of physical silver. That's $30,000 to $300,000 at today's price of $61. These are not average people. These are high earners, business owners, early Bitcoin guys who rotated into silver, or older investors who saw the 1980 spike and never forgot. They have conviction. They don't just believe silver will go up. They know it will, and they've bet serious money on it. Level 4 Americans have done something most people never do. They've concentrated their wealth. They didn't diversify into 15 different asset classes. They didn't listen to their financial advisor, who told them to hold 60% stocks and 40% bonds. They said no to the system and went all in on a single thesis. The thesis is simple. The dollar is dying. Silver is money. And when the dollar dies, silver will reprice to reflect its true value. Level 4 understands that in a monetary reset, the people holding hard assets win. The people holding paper lose. It's that simple. Right now, a Level 4 American with 2,000 ounces is sitting on roughly $122,000. But they're not thinking in dollars anymore. They're thinking in ounces. They know that when silver hits $100, and it will, their stack will be worth $200,000. When it hits 150, it's $300,000. And if, God forbid, we see a true shortage panic and silver spikes to $200 or $300, like some analysts are predicting for late 2026, they're looking at $400,000 to $600,000 from metal they bought at $25 an ounce. But here's the secret about Level 4. They're not just holding for profit. They're holding for reset insurance. They know that if the banking system freezes, if bail-ins happen, if capital controls get implemented, their ounces are outside the system, untouchable, untrackable, theirs. Level 4 Americans sleep well at night because they've built a fortress, and the walls are made of silver. Level 5, King Kong, 5,000 ounces and above. Net worth in silver, $300,000 and up. And then there's Level 5, the apex predators, the King Kongs. These are the Americans, and there aren't many of them, who own 5,000 ounces or more. At $61 an ounce, that's over $300,000 in silver. But most Level 5 players aren't sitting at 5,000. They're sitting at 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 ounces. I know of one individual in Texas who accumulated 73,000 ounces between 2020 and 2023. At current prices, that's $4.4 million. He paid an average of $23 an ounce. Do the math. He turned $1.6 million into $4.4 million in 5 years. And he's not selling. Level 5 Americans are not stackers, they're accumulators. They're not buying 10 ounces a month, they're buying 500 ounces a month, 1,000 ounces a quarter. They have relationships with refineries. They buy directly from miners. They don't go to coin shops. They have vaults, some offshore, some domestic. They've spent years building this position, quietly, while the rest of America was chasing Tesla stock and meme coins. These people understand something the financial media will never tell you. In a real crisis, wealth doesn't disappear, it transfers. It moves from those who didn't see it coming to those who did, from those who trusted the system to those who opted out. Level 5 Americans opted out a long time ago. They looked at the $34 trillion national debt, the $6 trillion Fed balance sheet, the fact that the government spent $2 trillion more than it collected in 2024 alone, and they said, "This ends badly. And when it ends, I want to be holding something real." On December 11, 2025, tomorrow as I record this, the U.S. Mint is expected to release November sales data for American Silver Eagles. Analysts are predicting another record month. Why? Because Level 4 and Level 5 Americans are still buying, even at $61, even at all-time highs, because they know what's coming. They know that India imported over 3,000 metric tons of silver in 2025. They know the solar industry consumed 240 million ounces this year. They know the COMEX registered inventory is at a 20-year low. They know the math doesn't work. King Kong doesn't care if silver pulls back to $55 next week. King Kong is thinking in decades, not days. And when the dust settles, when the dollar loses another 30% of its value, when silver is trading at $150 or $200 an ounce, King Kong will have generational wealth. Not because they gambled, because they understood the end game before everyone else did. The gap between the levels. It's not linear, it's exponential. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The gap between Level 1 and Level 2 is $61. The gap between Level 2 and Level 3 is $2,700. The gap between level 3 and level 4 is $27,000. The gap between level 4 and level 5 is $270,000. Do you see the pattern? This isn't a ladder. It's a logarithmic scale, and the people at the top aren't just 10 times wealthier than the people at the bottom. They're 1,000 times more prepared. But here's what nobody talks about: the psychological gap. Level 1 Americans think in terms of surviving the next month. Level 2 thinks in terms of having a little insurance. Level 3 thinks in terms of building wealth over time. Level 4 thinks in terms of positioning for a reset. Level 5 thinks in terms of multi-generational legacy. These aren't just different bank account balances. These are different operating systems, different ways of seeing reality. And right now, in December 2025, as silver sits at $61 and climbing, as the deficit hits record levels, as the vaults drain, the distance between these levels is freezing in place. Because at $25 an ounce, anyone could move from level 1 to level 3 with $6,000. Now, at $61, that same move costs $15,000. By the time silver hits 100, it will cost $25,000. The window is closing. Not metaphorically, literally. Because it's not just about price, it's about availability. Here's a fact almost nobody knows. On December 9th, one of the largest silver dealers in the United States, SD Bullion, posted a notice on their website. Delivery delays on silver bars extended to 6 weeks. 6 weeks! In a functioning market, that doesn't happen. In a market where the float is gone, where the 1.1 billion ounce buffer has evaporated, that's what you get. The premium on physical silver over spot price has exploded to $8 an ounce in some markets. $8? That's a 13% premium. You know what that means? It means the paper price and the physical price are decoupling. It means we're entering the final stage. Where do you stand, and where do you want to be? So let me ask you again. Where are you on this ladder? Are you level 1, holding paper and hoping the system holds together? Are you level 2, with a handful of coins and a false sense of security? Are you level 3, stacking month after month, building slowly but surely? Are you level 4, all in, conviction locked, ready for the reset? Or are you level 5, already positioned, already watching the end game play out exactly as you predicted? Because here's the thing. This isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm showing you the map. I'm showing you where people are positioned right now in December 2025 as the silver market enters a phase we haven't seen in 45 years. I'm showing you that wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about what you hold when the music stops. The average American is at level 1, 92% of the country. They will watch this wealth transfer happen and wonder why nobody warned them. But they were warned. The data was public. The Silver Institute reports were public. The LBMA vault drawdowns were public. The Indian import numbers were public. It was all right there. They just didn't look. Or they looked and didn't believe. And now, as we close out 2025 and head into 2026, the gap between the levels is becoming a chasm. And chasms don't close. They widen. If you found this breakdown valuable, if you finally understand where you stand and where you need to be, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Because this story isn't over. We're just getting started. Silver at 61 is the floor, not the ceiling. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to show you exactly why level 5 was right, why the King Kongs saw this coming, and why the gap between those who prepared and those who didn't is about to become the defining feature of the next decade. Drop a comment below and tell me, where are you on the ladder? Level 1? Level 3? Level 5? Be honest, because the first step to moving up is knowing where you are. I'll see you in the next one.